Whoa, one love is the anthem.
Let me see your hand them. Let me see your hand them.
I have love for the whole wide world with you at the center. You are the master key. If love is by my side, then who can deny me?
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Creative Collective Podcast. I am yours truly, Mr. Shomari KRL, aka Redymix DMT. Thank you guys for joining us from all over the world tonight. And I gotta tell you, we have a good one. We have a good show tonight. We definitely have a good show tonight. We have a guest tonight who I think embodies what this show is about. And I'm very, very happy to have him on the inside. He's in the waiting room waiting to connect with everybody. We have a lot of things to ask him tonight, a lot of conversations to get into. Want to shout out to the people who are locked on from all over the globe. We have some people from St. Vincent who are here with us. Some people in Barbados. Shout out to the Barbados crew. Shout out to the crew in Florida. And of course, everybody in Trinidad and Tobago logged in as well. All right. So before I get to my guests, just got to make a couple of quick announcements. First of all, as you guys would know, Travi is now an official sponsor of the Creative Collective Podcast. And of course, take the stress out of your daily commute. Ride now or pre-book your rides for a later date with Travi. Safety remains Travi's #1 priority. So now you can add up to 5 emergency contacts on your Travi profile, right? And if an unfortunate emergency occurs, use the SOS button to alert them immediately. That's your 5 friends. Download Travi from the mobile App Store today. Travi getting you there. Safely experience Travi. As you'd have seen in the beginning as well, if like me, you're missing Carnival and you have that Carnival to banker, the University of Soca Music, I released that last week Monday on Carnival Monday. So shout out to everybody who downloaded the University of Soca Music. I gotta say big ups to that as well. And of course, it features all the soca tracks from 2021 plus some other songs from other Caribbean islands that will be featured during the course of the year. And you can stream it right here on this YouTube channel. That's Redymix DMTV. Or you can download it via SoundCloud, my website, redymixdmt.com, or of course the Apple Podcast or Digicel Go Loud app. So that's how you can also get onto the University of Soca Music. For everybody that's been wondering about this podcast, the audio from the podcast as well is currently up online. So let me say you're in a daily commute and you want to catch up on something that would have happened in a previous episode of the podcast. All the episodes right now are currently going on to the Creative Collective Podcast, and you can access that on your Apple Podcast app, the Digicel Go Loud app. As well, we are now on Spotify. So big up to the people right now in the USA. If it is that you want to listen to the Creative Collective Podcast, you can get it on Spotify as well. And of course, I have to say, if it is that you support the content that's coming out of the Creative Collective Podcast and the kind of things that we've been doing, I encourage you guys to please follow this YouTube channel at Redymix DMTV, or follow me on social media at Shomari KRL on Facebook and on Instagram. Every time you guys tweet us or every time it says that you guys post us in a message, the support goes a long way, and we are actually building the following to the show. So I'm really thankful for that. Have a couple of shout outs to do quickly. Of course, our sponsors, Travi. Big up to Travi. Control Entertainment for the lighting. So shout out to Control Entertainment, providing you with the lighting needs for all the events. Shout out to them as well. Of course, I also want to shout out the CAT team for helping us with the marketing. Shout out to the Zale Committee, Nariba, and everybody from Zale who has been supporting the Creative Collective Podcast. Without you guys, I don't know how I'd be able to do this. And I also gotta say, we have a new member in the podcast, somebody who is going to be acting as our research assistant for this entire process. Her name is Malika, but I call her Ultron tonight. So her official nickname is Ultron. So shout out to Ultron, who will be locked on as well, helping us get some of the podcasts up and running. And I'm really, really appreciative to that. Before I go into the live, want to say shout out to Jerome. Hey, big up Jerome. Delroy, of course, a very, very integral part of tonight's live. And Lonel, I see you there as well. All right, so I think that's it for my shout outs for tonight. Once again, people, please share this live with anybody who you think may be interested in looking on tonight. I'm really, really thankful for your guys' support. Also, shout out to the crew and crew in St. Lucia. Big up Malusian crew as well, who is here with us tonight. All right, so enough about me. I think it's about time we make way for the gentleman of the night. I see him moving around a little bit to the back. I'll big up Siobhan as well. A gym crew, right? Yeah, I see him moving around the back. All right, so yeah. You there? Good, great, fine, fantastic. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the guy that you're seeing on the screen right now, drum roll, big drum roll. This individual, it's so funny because I feel like we go back so many years. And it's funny because I was telling a friend of mine the other day that every time I do shows like this, I feel like it's a UE reunion. You understand? Yeah. I feel like it's a University West Cities reunion. And shout out to Delroy because Delroy was one of the guys that's like, yo, I can't wait for you to have this brother on because it come like UE alumni people sitting around talking. So I really thankful for that. So in case any of you all are wondering who this is Mr. Muhammad Muwakil. He is a writer, poet, musician, and activist and a member of the entity known as Freetown Collective. And of course, everybody knows about Freetown Collective with Can You Feel the Love, tune produced by Private Ryan. So Muhammad, my brother, thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight, man.
Thanks for having me, brother.
I have to say, I'm very fortunate because you've been busy in the last couple of days, just with a lot of stuff with what you do personally. And you were one of the people that was involved in the production of Tribe's show, Laveway last week. That's correct, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I know you have been extremely busy for the last couple of days. So I'm really thankful for your presence and your knowledge and everything tonight. Yeah. I want to start quickly because we're going to cover a lot of things. And to everybody who is with us tonight, if you guys want to ask a question or get in a comment, if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, you could just type it in the comment section and we'll get to some of the comments during the course of the show tonight. All right. I want to start. Let me go back to 2020 before we go way back before that. Right. 2020 had many challenges, but I think one thing that everybody can say is that Feel the Love was one of the most significant songs for the year. And I actually remember a couple of people telling me that they thought that Feel the Love was the song of the year for everything, like just for everything. I've always wondered with people who produce tracks and people who sing tracks and perform tracks, how do they feel when they hear that? So do you feel that Feel the Love was the song of 2020, so to speak? And if not, because I know you're very modest, so you probably won't jump up and say, well, I had the biggest song for the year. But at the same point in time, how does it feel to you as a performer and as somebody who's just into actually bringing that vibe of happiness? How does it feel to you that so many people look at Feel the Love as probably what was the most important song of 2020?
You know what's the first thing that come to mind, Shomari? 10 years ago, I didn't believe in myself in terms of singing.
Wow.
Right? And there were many people who didn't believe in me at all. Right? There were people who loved me, who came and said, this is not for you.
Right.
But a part of me always said, and the most beautiful thing to me was that Feel the Love is a song that showcases my voice and my ability to sing, right? Many times when we went in studio, the DJs would be looking at me to see if I actually hit that high note now, you know?
Right.
Can you feel the love that's in? They're like, let me see if it's a studio note or if it's actually, you know?
Or if it's auto-tune or something. Right.
And I feel like it was a song to silence a lot of people who might have had, even within family and thing, you know, people who see what you're doing and they see you being successful, but it's a certain level of verification when the nation acknowledges, hey, these people doing something that we really like. You know, we've been persistent, we've been touring, we've been doing all kinds of things. But to move over into soca and to have my second soca song ever do that, I can't really even begin to tell you out on the street and people giving you stories from their heart. It's not just a, hey, I did really like to party to this song. It is a, yo, this song reminds me of when my father passed away. Or this song, you know, I want to play this song at my wedding. This song, you know, it reminds me of my children when I played, and I played for them all the time because I like to see them happy and whatever. Like all these different things make you feel like, okay, I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish here on this earth now. So,
do you think that when it says that you envision doing that track, And I always like to ask people this because you know some individuals, and I say artists generally, I don't mean just soca, but artists in total. You know, sometimes when they put down a body of work, from the beginning they know, yeah, this was going to be a hit. This was going to be able to take off with so many people. Did you have that feeling when that song was produced and when you guys did that song? Because I've always heard the stories of guys in the studio and when the first beat drop and individuals start to sing and everybody feel that chill like, yo, this is going to be something major. Did you have that feeling at all? Or again, I know you're very modest. So is it like, you know, to you it's like, well, let's just put it out there and see where it goes?
There was something in the air regarding the song. Like the team was very invested in the song. That's why the song took 2 years to come out, because it felt like we just didn't get it right.
Right.
I felt personally like I was just being weird. I was like, this is another weird song I write, you know. And the people who like what we do, they will really like it and it'll move and it'll do real things, right? But I don't know, you know. But the thing is, whenever we release a song, I still release it with all my energy, with all my belief that it will do what it's supposed to do. Right. I don't put no weight on the song to say this song needs to do this, otherwise I will feel this way or that way. The song came to me. The song asked me to bring it to life. I use my life and my resources to give that song a life in the world. That song then goes and does what it's supposed to do. I don't know if that song's supposed to come into the world to save one person's life, who will then go on and save millions, or who might go on and have a child, who child might have a child, who might become prime minister one day. Like, that's how big it is, right?
Right.
So I try my best, and I'm only human. Of course, you just feel a way if something don't happen. If you put a song and it don't really, you know. But I try my best to detach myself from the outcome of the song and just focus on the beauty of what is.
That is so interesting, and I graduate that point not to cut you across, but as I said, I've known you for a while now, and I've always thought of you being more of a person that is purpose-driven rather than an individual who's doing it to see what is the outcome in terms of the props that go with it. Because, and we're going to get into that shortly, if we take a look at how your life has developed, it's not been done for props. It's been done because you have a particular vision and an idea of not an idea, but you have an understanding of who you are and what you want to accomplish on this planet. And for that reason, if it is that you release a song, as you said, that was given to you to release into the universe, it doesn't matter to you if it get, you know, airplay today or it doesn't get airplay or whatever, whatnot. For you, it's a matter of actually bringing the message in the way that it's supposed to be brought. That's correct?
I don't want to say it don't matter.
Right.
Because I'm not that altruistic, right? I'm not saying it don't matter. It matters. And I would never be one to not shepherd my gift and go, me care if it get 1 million views. I care a lot. But I care not because I want 1 million people to watch my song and go, hey, he real bad, necessarily. Right. Although that does help me in my career. But I wanted to reach there if people could get something from it. Like get something genuine from it. What am I adding to the world? There are hundreds of thousands of people who want to sing. What I bring in? What am I bringing that's new? Am I just saying, hey, watch me? You know? Watch me, I nice. And I could sing and sing. And no. Yeah. Bob Marley had one of the most unique voices. He never belt a note in his life. He never belt a note. He just used to sing from where he was singing from. And Bob Marley gave us some of the most memorable music. You know, arguably the greatest artist to have ever lived. Yeah. Arguably, right? Yeah. And why? It was because from Bob's first day to his last, his intention was very clear. Every man got a right to decide his own destiny. You understand? And everything was around that. And just to close off this point, I'd say there's one thing I always think about when songwriting, right? Bob Marley in Concrete Jungle, right? He says, no sun will shine in my day today. When I think about songwriting, right? Adam, if you believe in the story of Adam, when he fell to earth, he could have sang that line. And the last human being alive, after we done fuck up everything, he could sing that line. Right. So everybody in between is covered. And I think if you're writing music to be timeless, that's what you have to think about. Timeless music, you can hear creation and destruction when you listen to it. You could watch scenes of creation or destruction and feel equally as moved now. Yeah. But I mean,
why while I'm making that point, and are we talking about that? I actually have a clip here from one of you guys' performances. I think from the Lightbox. That's the Lightbox there, right? That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the Lightbox performance. Let me get back into that quickly.
I was going through real things for that performance. Yes.
Right. I wanted to know. You just raised that point in terms of how the longevity of music. Do you think that is something right now that a lot of artists are kind of putting to the side because, again, it's more about building the numbers and getting traction and probably being successful financially from it than actually being able to have timeless music that will be able to transcend not just what playing now, but what is going to be able to live on for generations to come?
I before I say anything on that, I acknowledge that I am speaking from a position of privilege, right, Shomari?
Right.
Meaning what? Now, it's not unearned privilege, right? But when we started to build our own concerts and build our own brand in a very specific way, right?
Right.
So my brand, that's what they call it, right? But
I hate if you know what, I hate that word.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
My life is
Right.
marketable in many different ways, in ways other artists wouldn't. I have curated my life in a certain type of way. I'm not saying it's a better way, I'm not saying it's a worse way, right? But my life is marketable in a very different way to a vast number of artists. I did not come in to the soca game or to music selling, no disrespect to nobody, right? But I didn't come in selling my body as a part of my brand. I didn't
Right.
come in selling, all these other things. And therefore, where I can be placed is a far wider range of things than some people can, right?
Yeah.
With that said, because other artists have these things to consider, many times they will play to the market, right? The easiest, so you can approach the human soul through many different gateways, right? But the easiest way to approach is through the desires, right?
Right.
You see lust and hunger, right? Lust is an easy door to approach the human soul through. That is why people like to sing about sex and whatever. It gets a very immediate response.
Right.
I'll give you an example. The first time I ever performed in Guyana, right? We get hired to perform in Guyana in like 2012.
Right.
Maybe even before that, right? And we didn't know we had a following there. So we
Right.
reached there and it's a room of like 350 people, right? This is when we now start. And it had all these girls up in front. All these girls. They walk up on stage and all the girls and them, oh my God, take. Once they're screaming, right?
Yeah.
And then you start to sing and they realize, oh, it's not a girl tune party, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Which is not to say they're not going to give you that energy, right? But they're giving you a different type of energy. So now it's up to you as an artist to decide, do I want to be Rico Suave or do I want to be Bob Marley? Right? Because women loved Bob and Bob had the support of the women. But that's not what they came for alone. You understand? The difference is that they would now hand down Bob's music to their children. You understand? And their children's children, on and on and on. My mother and them love Bob. They probably had a little crush on Bob too.
Right.
But they make sure I listen to Bob.
Yeah.
And so I say it's possible to have both roads, but the walk is longer.
Yeah. You actually raised a good point there, and that's something I'll get into later in the discussion because I'm a very big advocate of how we as individuals in entertainment use our platform to be able to impact our environment and our country in a very positive way. And I was having a conversation with my director, as I introduced you to a while ago. And we were talking about the activists and the actorists, you understand? And we were discussing the individuals in the society who would jump on the bandwagon because something at the point in time is happening and they feel, now they have to do that. But those who really feel within their constitution, as I call it to myself, that this is something that is more than just the music that I'm singing right now, or it's more than just about the vibes and the hype, but it's actually about how can I use how much ever followers I have to what I do to impact what is going on in the country right now. So that's something I really want to get into later. But, you are a guy, I very traveled, experienced in so many different ways. And there's a question I haven't asked anybody on the podcast before, but I'll ask you because you are a real mix-up of what Trinidad and Tobago is, right? And as I was telling you before, I think that you represent what this podcast, the Creative Collective Podcast, has aimed to be now. It was never meant to be a soca show. So even though I've had a lot of guys in soca, it's always meant to be something deeper than that. In that regard, if you were, not if, but at any point in time when you have traveled and somebody would have asked you the question like, who is Muhammad? What would be the answer that you would give them?
I am a little piece of God trying to make my way back home in the best way I could. And on that journey, trying to help as many people as I could with the talents I've been given.
Right.
I am very, very clear that what you see before you is just a projection. I live in it. I live inside this body here. And for whatever reason, I chose to live in this body in this time.
Right.
So real people, them think the song like real airy fairy thing, but I real clear about that. What you see in front of you, Shomari, is an illusion. And the minute I begin to really identify with this illusion, I will have real problems because I will say, well, look how I'm getting older. Boy, look how at this. Look how that. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying like I transcend these things. I'm not saying like I some kind of big guru, but I have an understanding of it now. And who I am is someone who is trying to understand that more and more and more every single day.
Right.
To see the truth when I look at people, you know, to see that. And I am an artist in the truest sense of the word. Because I'm a creator. And I understand that we as the creatives are creating this world. So I am a creator. I'm a little spark of God. And I'm an artist to my heart. You know?
Yeah. One of the things that, as I told you, I've known you since probably mid-2000s, coming into the 2010s. And I feel like in the last 3 days with Ultron, we have delved into some things that I never knew. And to be honest, I felt like if I got to know you again, but in a much more profound way.
Sure.
There's an article I came across, which was from the Newsday on July 31st, 2020, I believe. And it was dealing with article. The name of the article was called "My Father the Insurgent," right? And it spoke about that challenge that you had growing up, as your father was part of the Jamaat al-Muslimin at that point in time. And for anybody who doesn't know what the Jamaat is, it was a group that back in 1990 basically engaged in a coup at the point in time in the country. I could only empathize and imagine how, as a young person, that would be such a confusing time for you. Because when we look back at these things, they say hindsight is 2020. So I could imagine how that in itself was such a challenging thing for you. How did that experience, do you think, how has that impacted your life? And more importantly, impacted your choices to do what you're doing right now?
Yeah. First, I want to say that it was no confusion for me. It was not confusing time at all. I was real clear.
Right.
Right? Because I grew up, some of my earliest memories is seeing my father and them bring back cocaine to the mosque and burn it and thing.
Wow.
Some of my earliest memories is people passing and shooting up the mosque, and we dodging bullets and thing, and knowing my father and them going out on the cocaine block and taking cocaine from men who selling cocaine to people and mashing up the cocaine and taking the money and using it to buy medicine and to buy guns and things to go back on the block. So I lived in a world that was outside of the world that any normal person was living in. I didn't know that. So when we saw the coup, we were slightly confused as to what they were doing, but the sense of danger that a normal person might have, I didn't have that. Right. It is what we understood the world to be. It was us against them, right? We never saw the police as anything to feel safe or wrong or whatever. Like a lot of the realities many people are now waking up to in terms of police corruption and the way police operate. We knew these things as children, right? We knew that police own drug blocks or whatever. And somebody might be able to tell me, well, you could prove that. Right?
Yeah.
But everybody in the hood know. Every hood know the corrupt police officer. Anyway, I think that view, because I didn't have this view that society was this, very moral and utopian, right?
Utopian world,
right?
Yeah.
some people grew up knowing, the police will protect you and the government is for you as long as you vote and all that. I didn't have them things. I had a real harsh and stark reality growing up. So when I came into the real world, quote unquote, I came with a whole different idea of what the world was.
Right.
I didn't see the world as a fair place. I didn't see the world as, and so I had a greater sense of I have to make things better, and I grew up seeing my father and them trying in some very extreme ways, People don't know Jamaat Muslimin had a clinic with a hired doctor that anybody could walk in off of the street and go, right?
Right.
It had a dentist, it had nurses, they had a drug rehabilitation program, all these different things, right? Where they were literally helping the poor people. Food was always cooking. At any point in time, a man could walk off the street and get some food. He could get a change of clothes. He could bathe, you know what I mean? And that was the community I grew up in. So maybe people, when they hear Jamaat Muslimin, they feel, oh God, terrorist Muslim. There was so much that was being done to connect with the communities. And that's what I grew up in. Yeah. So I had by the time I was 10, 11 years old, I had a very profound sense of what was wrong with the world and what needed to be done to make the world right. And so anywhere I found myself, whether it be music or working for WhatsApp, I think I would have leaned towards how best can I be of service to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you raise that point because, again, if you look at the way that things have navigated in your life, there are many people out there who may have had the same circumstances, but their outcome would have been different, right? And you and I know this, it's have those guys that would see things going on and would take a particular direction that would be the antithesis from where you're going right now.
Most
right?
of them dead right now, Shomari.
Exactly. That's a good point. And as I said before in the beginning, I have this big thing now about your constitution, about what makes you up as a person and what centers you as an individual. What do you think was the one thing that centered you away from actually going that direction? And as I say, most of them are dead, but there are those that might be still living the kind of life that we of ourselves chose not to live. And I believe everybody has a choice. What for you was the thing that centered you to make that decision to say, yo, instead of going this direction, I am going that direction?
Funny, center might be the wrong word. There was actually something that put me off center.
Right.
That caused me. So my grandfather he ordered National Geographic for me from the time I was 3 years old.
Right.
And he used to buy Dr. Seuss books and Hardy Boys and all them things, right?
Right.
And I remember from a very young age seeing the pictures in National Geographic and understanding that these markings next to these pictures, they had some kind of meaning that way. Yeah. And I remember very clearly, and I could not be more than 3 years old, being frustrated. Because
3 years old,
I'm telling you, I remember the feeling. I used to want to rip up the book. I will never forget that feeling, I'm a pause reason talking about it. Like, watching that page, I couldn't be more than 3 years old because I'm watching the page and I'm saying, these writings, these markings, I didn't even know what the hell they was. These markings mean something and I want to know what they mean. And as I got older and I began to read, about Mount Kilimanjaro and read about different places in Afghanistan and Kabul and all these different things and realizing now, oh shit, this world I think I live in here, it's a more, right?
Yeah.
And even beyond that now, Dr. Seuss and Hardy Boys and things made me realize even the world that I think I know, there's imagination that is infinite, like infinite amount of worlds. And so I never felt trapped. Some people, they will sit down and they will look at, artists who they consider to be big and thing, and they just, in their head, they're like, well, how I go reach there? I had to do this and I had to, in my mind, if that's where you're supposed to be, you go write one good song and the whole world will know your name. And that's it. It's as simple as that. If that's where it's supposed to be now. And so it's what put me off center, not what centered me. Something threw me off of the center I should have been on, which was where I was living, number 1 Mukurapa Road.
Right.
And that visiting my grandparents all the time and they showing me that life was more. Yeah, that was everything for me.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny because you've chosen a path which, I mean, everybody who's tuned into that could be like, oh, I love him and what he does and whatever, whatnot. But I think one of the main things I want to get to tonight is that it really still not easy. It's not easy because the truth and fact is that we have 90% of the people going this direction and doing things that you think are commercially viable or doing something that you think everybody wants you to do. And look at that, even me saying that, all right, what was the one thing that centered you? But it's a mindset that sees life in a different way from what everybody else is seeing it as. As you said, it wasn't something that centered you, it's something that knocked you off center. And it takes a particular depth of understanding of self to be able to see life in that way, but it really can't be easy, am I right? Or I like that
Listen,
response.
I have a friend who's called me Square Peg. You know, it's Square Peg in a round hole. She's called me Square Peg. Big up Tanya. She say every time she see me Square Peg, because the truth is, this is just how I am, you know.
Right.
No, it has not been easy. Meaning what? Meaning the consequences of sticking to what you believe many times means you walk away from money, you walk away from opportunity, you walk away from, because somebody will come at you with something that you want it bad, but the way in which they're coming at you, you're telling them, hey, I can't take it like this. Could you do it this way instead? I needed to straighten this up before I could. And them like, nah, that's how it is. Either you take this or not, and you have to walk away at certain points in your career, right? Yeah. We have had record deals fall through on different things. We've had to walk away from very lucrative, possibly lucrative contracts, all kinds of crazy things. Shomari, to this day, we don't do alcohol ads, we don't do cigarette ads, we don't do certain types of things, you know. And them think that how we in a certain gear by now. You understand? But that is not the gear you want to be in the long term. Yeah. You understand? What is the gear you want to be in when you wake up in your bed and you know, well, this house that is built around me was built through the support of people. I just marvel at that, right? Everything I own is because there are people out there who go, I like what he doing. And they take their hard-earned money out of their pocket and they bring their wife and their children and things and they come to my show. Or they go on Apple Music and they buy. Or they go up on YouTube and they support. Or they come on Instagram and they follow and they comment and they think, this is people's lives, right? Understand how dread that is? People given 70 years to live. And them taking, or how much ever, some are much less. And they taking time, their most precious resource, to put headphones in their ears to listen to my voice and what I had to say. To take time, to commute, to take bathe, buy a new pair of shoes and clothes, get dressed, ask their wife how they looking. She asking how they looking. It's the one night for 2 months, 3 months, they didn't come out. They're risking now one night to come and hear me because they feel as though Freetown will fill up their soul. How are you going to take that lightly now, boy? You understand? And that's the thing. You know, I think at some point as artists, we just feel as though we deserve that because it's something we do in now, boy.
Right.
And there's a story in the Quran of this man called Karun in the time of Moses, right? Karun was a man, they say Karun, the wealth he had, it take 20 strong men to carry the keys to open the chests to the wealth he had.
Right.
And a day, Karun was passing and Moses was there and Moses say, you shouldn't be so haughty, you know. And Karun watched Moses and he say, everything I have gained is because of something I did, something I possess. And it say God just open up the earth and take he and everybody who was around him and just bury them now. And to me, I reflect on that. Why I feel that means it might not have been literally like the earth open, But who is this man now?
Yeah.
We just know his name, some of us. But for all the riches and the wealth he had, who is he? What has he done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to the content of your character as an individual. And it just said about, as I rightfully said, you, for every naysayer out there, or for every individual, because that's something that we were speaking about before we went live. The fact that as much as there are people that would say, this is a positive thing and whatnot, really are plenty of people out there that are really not positive, That's just the fact, But do you, as an individual, do you feel pressured at all? because you know you have these people who are supporting you in some particular way, whether it come to a concert, whether it is buying a song, whether it's tuning into the Creative Collective podcast to listening to it tonight. You know, do you feel that pressure that, you know, I have these individuals who are looking out to me and kind of probably depending on me to some extent? Do you feel pressured by that at all?
The people around me don't make me feel pressured. The people who come to me, they don't make me, because if you follow me at all on Instagram, I don't put myself up on no pedestal. I talk about my flaws and my vulnerabilities and things. I don't put myself on no pedestal for nobody to worship me and try to follow me and whatever. There may be people who come to me for advice on different things, whatever, and all I could tell them is what I know.
Yeah.
But no man and no woman is to watch me like no God or like no prophet and none of them kind of stupidness. As far as I'm concerned, I am a fallible human being trying to figure out like everybody else. And so I would feel pressure if I was trying to display something that wasn't actual fact, right? Now, do I want to disappoint people who have a certain view of me? No, I don't. But if something were to happen that is a part of my evolution that caused them to be disappointed in me, if they don't understand that I am evolving and that I will do things that they don't expect me to do, then I have also failed them. Yeah. Because what I have done now is I come like everybody else who tell them I am perfect and it is hard to reach. You know what I mean? There's so many artists who put it forward as if we're so special or other people can't do what we're doing. Yeah. You know? And that's not the truth. It's not the truth.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I was saying to you before as well. I think the artists and the individuals who people are really invested in sometimes are the ones that are very authentic and they show people the truest versions of themselves. And it's not perfect. It's not a perfect person. It's not a person that doesn't have flaws. But at the same point in time, you get to understand that they accept their flaws and they embrace their flaws. And a lot of times we see how they get over the struggles and the hurdles from their flaws to become better people. And that in itself acts as inspiration for people who are looking on. Just like us normal followers who may be like, wow, well, you know, we know you're going through this challenge, but look how you've overcome that. And that in itself speaks to you being a human being. Because at the end of the day, if you strip away Freetown, if you strip away songs or whatever, you are Muhammad, a person. And I always tell people that's why when this podcast was designed, it was designed as me being Shomari. Because I wanted to get away from just being known as just a DJ. I think I'm more than that. You understand? And everybody, as I always say for every one of these podcasts, has a unique story to tell. And that story in itself could inspire somebody else who is looking on. And that is really what it is that we're trying to accomplish by doing this. Just to let you guys know, and I see in Mark on my case, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can put it to the comment section and we'll get to some of the questions. Let me get to two questions quick before I move on because Mark has one here. You went from spoken word artist to rapper with word, sound and power to full-on singer with Freetown. The medium has changed, but to you, has the mission changed?
No. No, the mission can't change because the mission in and of itself is evolving as our understanding evolves, but the mission is and has always been to allow people to know that they are the most unique thing they could be, and once they access themselves in a very true way, they will achieve everything they want to achieve. Yeah. And it's always been that, to make people feel comfortable in their own skin. How do you to see the God in you. Yeah. To see it reflected back. That when you sing this song or when you listen to this piece of music or whatever, that you understand that you are extremely powerful. Yeah. And the only thing that you really need to access that power is to know yourself in the deepest way possible. And that's what all the explaining in the songs and all the music videos and all these are just attempts to mirror people back to themselves, because I love my people, dog. Yeah. I love we. And plenty times, I don't know if we be afraid to say it, right? You smile because I know you feel the same way. Yeah. As a man standing up on a truck on Carnival Tuesday, looking out on the sea of people, it's a war all over the world. Yeah. We came through so many trials and tribulations, and we couldn't make anything, just like you said before. But look what we make, though. Right. We make soca music, we make calypso music, we make wire bending, we make Dragon Mass and Dam Lorraine and all these different things out of tragedy, you know, dog. Out of torture and death and pain and madness of history. Yeah. Look what we do us. That is powers. That is powers.
But I smile just now, and that's what the one little disagreement I have. It's not really a disagreement. So probably in me speaking to you about this, because as I say, I learned through these conversations that I could be inspired in a particular way. I love Trinidad and Tobago, but I feel somewhat challenged by the state of our society. All the things that you just mentioned just now there are powerful traits of what has been developed from this country. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of times we as Trinbagonians take things totally for granted. And it's something I'm going to come back to later in the discussion in terms of how we view our society and the value that we put on being Trinbagonians. I've been telling people for a while now, since UE days, that I think a lot of people don't know what it means to be Trinbagonian. And because we don't know what it means to be Trinbagonian, we are not too sure of the importance and the reverence that we're supposed to put on what is ours and protecting ours. So for me as an individual who travels, I've gone to St. Vincent, St. Lucia, a bunch of different countries, and to see the love that some of these people have for us, sometimes more love than we have for our own selves. You know, we have, and you would notice, we have guys that leave here and nobody would, as we like to say, nobody would piss on that guy. And you would go to some other country or some other place, and the love that you'd be shown there, you would feel like, yo, what is going on back home that I can't get that love there? So to me, that is an issue that I have, and I don't know if that is something that you have thought about, and probably thought of what could be done that we could do better to move away from that trend of thought.
They say the easiest thing to find in Trinidad is a derelict genius. Right. Everybody and the grandmother and the uncle and whoever used to play pan, used to sing, So when you doing something like that, you can't tell a man, well, somebody say, well, hey, yeah, he have a band, he say, hey, no, my uncle, listen. Hey, no, we made pan and all these different things out of our urge in us. Right. They just erupted. You understand? And we couldn't see, and still in many ways can't see, the beauty in it because we made them to help us heal. Right? These were things that came out of our tragedy, and we made them as a response to tragedy. Right. So, and people shit and piss on them the minute they came out. Pan is shit. They weren't talking to no pan, man. So not only were they born out of tragedy, but they were born into disrespect already. Right. Right? So you had these supremely beautiful forms, the mass, the pan, that were born out calypso, born out of tragedy, into disrespect immediately. You couldn't be with a calypsonian back in the day. Even now, you bring home a man and he's a musician as a woman. Look. And your family watching you like, look. So how he gonna
as I say, DJ man, DJ right? Man, entertainer man.
Right. Well, there's a whole lot of discussion.
That's a whole lot of discussion. Yeah.
But these things came out of tragedy and found themselves in disrespect already now. Sorry. Yeah. And how do you know? Because our history is short as an independent nation, right? We're real young, Young. Yeah. Like we're young. In terms of civilizations, we didn't even make it onto the map in terms of speaking in terms of civilization. So we still have people from the independence era who are running this country, right? Right. With that said, they are still carrying some of the traits of colonialism, whether they want to believe it or not. We did not have radical leadership, right? Our radical leadership has gone. What we have now are people who followed after them. Yeah. So, the Kwame Nkrumahs of the world and the Kwame Toures of the world and the Amilcar Cabrals of the world or whatever, that's not what we have. And in order to beat what you're talking about, you need people who radically love us. Who love us enough to say, when the Spanish ambassador jump out himself and talk about the Columbus statues, and whatever, who love us enough to say, nah, that man hurt my people. His statue should not be in the center of our town. They don't love us enough. And until our leaders love us, and until we love ourselves enough, we will continue to look at the things we've created as responses to tragedy and not really anything special. While the rest of the world looks in and goes, wait, how you sing so sweet? And then all you thinking is, boy, I had to sing, yes, because if I don't sing, I go dead. Yeah. And so you keep singing, and the rest of the world going, way, boy, and all you studying is, I just sing because. And everybody else just enjoying it because all of them in tragedy too. All of them, So this is a response. Carnival just happened. since you're born. You don't understand how special it is. And the only way to change that, Shomari, is for us to show the children how much we love it by teaching them about where it comes from and how much it deserves to be revered.
Yeah, I get that. That's powerful. Once again, guys, if you have any questions or comments, shoot us in YouTube or on Facebook. I just took a couple of questions. I took one question from Mark. And Mark is somebody who is going UE with us. So if I don't answer if I don't post up any Mark questions, he's literally go in on me on the comment section. So I don't want to go through that tonight. Let me talk about Freetown for jump to Freetown now. I'm always amazed at the concept of where the name Freetown came from. And I know we have some people that are joining us, not from Trinidad and Tobago tonight, from different islands, and they may not understand where the name Freetown developed from. And it's important too, because I want to establish that Freetown to me is not a soca band. Right, that I don't look at Freetown as a soca band. So Freetown is not a soca band. As a matter of fact, Freetown is more like an entity that is created to impact the world in a particular way. Right. For anybody that doesn't know, and I'm hoping that they will understand tonight. Where did the name Freetown come from in terms of Freetown Collective?
Yeah. So in about 2009 or so, I found out a piece of my history that I didn't know about. And it was so powerful that it inspired this, right? So in the mid-1800s, there were a group of Africans. There was a group of Africans who came from West Africa, right? They were Yoruba people. And when they got here, they were indentured workers, meaning that they had contracts. These people were never slaves. And it's so important to note this because it means that a part of our ancestry, some of the people who were born on this island were not slaves. They were free people from birth. They understood what it meant to be free. They did not have slavery in their blood. You understand? They were never enslaved people. When you talk about Maruga and the companies and all that kind of stuff and the Americans, you're talking about free people, right?
Yeah.
These people, when they came, they took the money that they had because they came with money, and they bought land because they understood the value of land. And they made this place called Freetown, right? And it was called Freetown because they were free people, right? And it was also known that, they used to go and buy people, like buy the freedom, buy other people's freedom, and people would come and they would work in Freetown and pay them back and all that. I had a lot of that going on.
Right.
It is such a powerful part of our history that got wiped out. It's not taught in schools. How? Why? Why am I living in a place called Belmont that was once known as Freetown? And all I know is that it named Belmont. My ancestors did these great and wonderful things. So when I found that out, I was like, well, boy, the world need to know this. Trinidad and Tobago and the region, everybody need to know this because these people came and these are my ancestors, right? I claim them. If nobody don't want to claim them, these are my ancestors. And so I started thinking to myself, well, what was their intention? It couldn't be what I seen around me now. All these drug blocks and the madness that going on in Belmont, that mad thing. And so I said, in order to create that world again, I have to start with me, right? How am I upholding the values that they would have had in order to be strong in that time, right? And I started to kind of work on myself and understand my history better and why I wanted to do what I was doing and all that. And then I met Lou, and I explained the philosophy to him, and he was on board. And slowly, we began to create a community of people who all understood, which is why we call them residents. We don't call our people fans. These are all residents of Freetown.
Yeah.
And the idea is that everybody who encounters Freetown becomes in and of themselves a Freetown. So anybody who encounters them now also becomes free because of the ideology that has been passed along. So one day when I am gone, it will still live on as an ideology, hopefully. You know what I mean? So that's the essence of where it comes from.
You said something a little while ago about you had to kind of go into yourself to figure out, why you were doing what you were doing and what was the reasoning for it. And just for anybody that is locked in tonight, I know a lot of people probably going through that same challenge themselves. Whether it is that you're skipping from one job to the next, you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life at that point in time and you just don't know. What was that process like for you, having that moment of introspection or moments of introspection? What was that like for you? What was that process looking like? Was it something where, as I always like to say with the singer, you'd sit down home for hours on end just in your own space, reading and meditating, and or was it something where it is that you spoke to people that you considered mentors or something like that? So what was that process like for you?
I can't say was. I say
Right.
what is that process like?
Right.
Because 10 years later, here we are still. We still here thinking, am I being my most authentic self? We still
For
here
real.
thinking, am I really doing my best? Am I really honoring my ancestors? Am I putting my best foot forward? And so the process is like living. The process is like waking up every day and rededicating yourself to what you say you believe in. The process is trying to align your words and your deeds. One of the most difficult things to do. You know what I mean? Because it's not something that we taught to do. People just say anything what they feel like to make themselves look away or to look this way or that way. You know what I mean? But to align who you say you are and who you actually are, to have those selves be in unity, craziness. Not easy. So anybody who tell you, they find themselves, that person lost. They lost, because if I find myself, I will disappear. Anytime I find myself, you can't see me again. That's the day. I out.
Yeah.
I will cease to exist or some shit like that.
Yeah.
You understand? Because I am here because there's a paradox in me. I am an infinite being living inside a temporary shell. That's why I exist. Anytime any of those two things changes, I'm gone.
Right.
You understand? So you don't find yourself in that sense. It's a question that continues. The question of me beginning to look inside myself and figure out if I was honoring my ancestors and if I was doing my best. I hope that question carries me until the day I leave from this place. You understand?
Yeah.
Because it's not something you're going to wake up in the morning and be like, hey, well, I figure it out, 2 + 2 is 4, Jed, and I get it. No. With every gray hair is our next answer. With every broken relationship is another answer. With every win and every loss and everything,
Yeah. You spoke up, as I said, about broken relationships. One of the things that ran through my mind in just talking to the team about this is the idea that I don't think that you can separate Freetown Collective from Muhammad and Muhammad from Freetown Collective. But you guys are, your group is still a group of individuals. Has there been any time, because you spoke about that in the beginning, where there have been people that would have approached you guys through multiple different things? Has there been any point in time where you, as Muhammad, your value of yourself was probably different from the other individuals that form the team? Or how do you guys deal with that that issue that may come up where your idea of what you may want to see, not just for yourself but for the group going forward, is different from the individuals that are in the group? Does that happen at all, or is it that you guys are always, or the majority of the time, on the same page with the mission of what's going forward?
The mission is the same.
Right.
The long-term goals, they're so wide and encompassing, because again, it's about that question, right? Everybody is questioning, am I doing my best? What am I doing here? What is success for me, right? These are questions we ask within the group all the time.
Right.
What is success is a big one. What does it look like for you, right? So on individual projects, we sometimes differ in our approach. That difference is actually a strength, because if you coming from so and I coming from here and we meet in the middle, I'm bringing everything from that side and you bringing everything from that side, and when we meet in the middle, we trash it out and the best idea wins. So these are strengths. Right. In terms of where we see ourselves, we don't argue about that.
Yeah.
Because as long as somebody is doing their best and they are at their happiest, they are traveling along a road that they feel comfortable with, then we cool. Right. Yeah, the way we do business, sometimes somebody might say, oh, I prefer it done this way, or I prefer that done way, and we might have a little argument, or the way certain things might, yeah, of course, we've had those kinds of arguments. But in terms of a central philosophy and us moving forward together as a band, we don't argue about anything.
Yeah. Before we move on to something I call lyrical deconstruction, because I like to do that, especially for the fact that individuals hear a lot of songs and let's get caught up in the beat, but they really don't take the lyrics that seriously sometimes. No.
You just deconstruct everybody's lyrics? Well, you're brave.
Well, no, actually, no. To be fair, what I'll do is I'll choose a track that speaks to me with any point in time that, you know, we're supposed to have the discussion. And there's one song that by I wouldn't say by accident, but there's one song that arrived in my lap a couple of days ago, and it has been playing in my mind for a good couple of days. And then yesterday, I actually saw that you did an interview with the U.S. Embassy, and they asked you a question on that song. That was Normal, right? So that song, I sent that song to two people today, and they messaged me back like, yo. Like they were totally mind blown, not just by the music, but by the message that was labeled within the song. But before I get into that, you entered UE as a chemical engineer, correct?
Civil
Engineering, and then you end up changing to theater arts. And was that a challenge to do that? Was that difficult to that? Because I mean, we existed in a country where I always talk about this on the podcast. There's the engineers, there's the doctors, there's the lawyers, you know. So these are the professions everybody see like, yo, Muhammad is an engineer, and he building this highway, and he doing this or whatever, whatnot. But if you, as you would know, come out and say, well, yeah, he went and switched from engineering to doing this, there are many people that are going to look at it like, why would you do that? You understand? And I know there are a lot of people out there that thinking of making those changes in their lives, but probably feel pressured by the fact that individuals go and look at them as why they do what they do, you know. And I think that it is important to understand, even though there are some people that may be able to still make that decision, despite that, there are a lot of people that are pressured, and some even don't make up their minds to do that because of the fact that they feel the stress of how it would look if they make that decision. Did you feel pressured at all by making a decision at all? And what for you was, I guess, the main reason of doing that?
Oh, I felt absolutely worthless for about 3 years after I left civil engineering.
Wow.
It was something that I had to battle in myself to let go of. Every time I thought of it, I would feel very, very despondent, and you know, because I felt like I gave up, and I hate to give up.
Right.
But let me go back and say this. All children are born with genius level ability.
Right.
Right? They think in ways that adults can't even imagine. So we just think, oh, they're just a child, I'm doing some shippiness. Yeah. They are geniuses. This is not no exaggeration, right? And it is known that by the time they get to 10 years old, only 10% of children can now be classified to have traits of genius left in them.
Yeah.
And all that means is that they're able to think in a radically different way to what they've been taught already. Right. So they actually put you through a process to learn in the way everybody else learns and wipe out your individuality, which is your genius. Right? Yeah. Your individuality is your genius. That's what it is. That's your gift. Like why I say everybody's a genius, and then they just wipe it out here, right? Pablo Picasso said the artist is the child who survived. Right. No. If you wake up one morning and you realize that you are a child who has survived, right? For whatever reason, something comes to you and you realize, wait, boy, I feel like I could do something here. I feel like I have the ability to create or to do what. You have two choices at that point in time. You either commit suicide, meaning you go along the path that you continue to go along and kill off the rest of what you believe to be a superpower, or you strike out and tell yourself, I could remake the world in the way I see it.
Right.
Now, can you say, for me, giving up is way harder than trying, right? For me, faced with them two choices, there ain't no choice. Kill myself and my vibes for the rest of my life, because this is me in my early 20s now. Right. So you're watching now what in our average lifespan is another 50 years to exist.
Yeah.
50 years, 5 decades to exist. Not as yourself. Not even to have had the chance to understand who you might be. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
That is not a choice. That is not a choice to me. But the thing is, you have to have the awareness of yourself within that moment to know that it is a moment, right?
Yeah.
And then to have, I wouldn't even say it's courage, because I'm not going to big up myself in that way. But to have the kind of madness in here to go, I'm going to leave all these engineering books here and walk out, and I go to my mother, and I go and tell my mother what I do.
But that's still a level of courage, you know. I mean, as I said, you're very modest, so you might not look at it as courage.
Boy, I'm madness, but I don't know courage, boy.
I think that even in the little end of madness, there's always that point of courage, right? And yes, it might be madness. To you, it might be madness. But the fact that you could release what everybody anticipates, expects, or thinks what you should do to really go into yourself and understand that this is who you want to be as a person, and you're going to make a decision that, again, goes to the antithesis of everybody else. That takes courage, even if it is that it is some level of madness.
I mean, I would take it, but at the point in time, I didn't feel I was being courageous. I just know that I couldn't do this shit no more.
Right.
That was all. I couldn't do it no more. And when my heart not in something, it's heaven on earth to keep me there. You can't keep me if my heart not in something. And I knew that my heart wasn't in it. And so I looked forward another 10 years and I saw myself as a civil engineer. I saw myself, because I was working in Wassa before, so I know what it's like to be in an office. I saw myself going into the office and having my shirt tucked in my pants and somebody telling me what I need to do and what I don't need to do for the next 10 years until I'm senior enough so I could now tell somebody else what it like. And maybe it would not have gone on that way. Maybe it would have been another kind of existence as a civil engineer. But I know what I wanted out of life. At least I had an idea, you know, and what I wanted was freedom, and I didn't see it on the horizon for a civil engineer.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you're a civil engineer out there and you love what you do. No, it doesn't mean that at all. So
I didn't see it.
Exactly.
Freedom.
Exactly. I want to get to that point. Let me get to the track I was talking about, Normal. And the reason why I like to do the lyrical deconstruction is because, again, there are songs that people sing. So internationally, a lot of people would know you for Feel the Love and etc., etc., etc. But if you really take the time to honestly go through the body of work that you guys have put out, I think there are multiple songs that speak to certain parts and certain things within the society. And as I said, Normal, when I got through that song and I sent it to a couple of people, they were like, wow. And the last part of the song, there's a part of the song, and if any of the lyrics are wrong, you can let me know, because I wrote this down while listening to it. It was, follow me, your broken mind is hungry for asylum. If I'm not here to help you feel, tell me why did I come? Fell asleep, awake, a beast that lives inside the island. Every wave upon my shores are now raw, my love, there is no hiding. If you don't run, if you don't hide, that must mean we're fighting. If that's not so, every breath's a joke and living is just like dying. Could you... That madness, you call that madness. But on a real though, when I looked at the video and I looked at and I kind of got that song, and I think I have a clip that I'm gonna play in the background while we're talking about it. The truth and fact is that when I look at the video, it speaks to me like there are things that are happening in society with people that are considered normal. So we talk about these things like, as you actually see on the screen, like abuse and all these things are happening in the household. And we have little children looking onto this and people saying, yeah, well, that's something that's normal. But the truth and fact is, it's not normal. This should not be treated as something that's normal. And if you guys, I'm inviting everybody to go on YouTube, look for the song Normal by Freetown Collective. Coming down to the end of the song, there's a clip where it is that you have the children coming out and you guys take away the writing that's on their foreheads. And to me, that to me represented the fact that this is not normal, and with love and being able to choose a right path, that you're born free, as you said, the things that we consider normal, we should not consider that being normal. And we should erase that from the existence of what your life should be. But that's just my interpretation. And I'm really interested in hearing, like, from you, what was your interpretation of it and your feeling going into writing that?
So we breaking on the lyrics that said?
Yeah.
How we doing? All right. So those lyrics were actually from another song called Dope.
Right.
When we did this, it kind of fit here as well, and I wanted to put it at the end. It says, follow me, your broken mind is hungry for asylum. Right? That easy enough to understand. As an artist, people listen to you, and your words supposed to give them some sort of a respite from whatever turmoil they're feeling, right? So follow me, your broken mind is hungry for asylum. If I'm not here to help you feel, then tell me, why did I come? As an artist, again, if I'm not here to do that, then what the hell am I doing, right? We fell asleep, awoke a beast that lives inside this island. The artists were no longer doing what they were supposed to do in order to balance the forces and the energy on the island. And so the beast side of the island woke up. All the madness we see in, a lot of it, I put it squarely on the shoulders of the artists, because we play with forces people don't understand. Every wave upon my shores are raw. My love, there is no hiding. I mean, simple, right? Again, the beast here. I have nowhere to hide from it. There is no hiding. So if you don't run and you don't hide, then that must mean we're fighting. If you're not running and hiding from this beast and you stand up in the plane, then it must mean that you are ready to fight this beast, right?
Right.
And if that's not so, then every breath is a joke. If you're not really standing up in the face of this madness, but at the same time you're saying you don't want to live in this kind of place, but you do nothing to make a difference, then breathing is like a joke. And if that's not so, then every breath's a joke. And living is just like dying. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be hard from a life like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that, by and large, a lot of people, especially in entertainment, feel as if they are? And before I get to that point, I actually want to play this part here, which is the part that we were just talking about. So.
If I'm not here to help you feel, tell me why did I come? Fell asleep, awoke a beast that lives inside this island. Every wave upon my shores are raw, my love, there is no hiding. If you don't run, and you don't hide, that must mean we're fighting. If that's not so, every breath's a joke, and living's just like dying. Living's just like dying.
So the question I was going to get to is, do you think that a lot of guys who are into entertainment right now don't understand the power that they have as individuals with that, with what they're doing and the art that they're putting out there? Is it that they don't understand that?
Maybe some understand. I can't tell you what a man do or don't understand. I can look at his behavior and say, the behavior is reflective of somebody who don't understand.
Yeah.
But he might understand and very well decide to do something different.
Yeah.
But I believe if you truly, truly understand, then you will get everything you want to know. You will get the attention, you will get the fame, you will get all them things that you think you want, them things that you really feel like that's what you want. But there's something else that you could get on top of all of that makes it all make sense. And that is true love and respect of your people. Yeah. That's truly being able to help them when they need you.
Yeah.
Because there are many artists who have all kind of repertoire. But, you know, somebody in trouble in their life or a nation in trouble, and you tell them, choose one song. Just one song from your repertoire and give it to these people in this instant. The club banger's not going to do it. And again, it's just about where you for. But I've always thought about this question, right? As an artist, I am putting my hand up and saying, look at me. I have something to say. And what if, for some reason, the whole earth was a flat note and every human being alive was in that flat place and you went up a stage and all of them turned around and they looked at you?
Yeah.
What would you say? You really believe you are something that worth all of mankind hearing? In that instant, what would you say?
Yeah.
And for me, that's the question that you need to consistently ask yourself.
Yeah.
What's saying now, boy? You know, now, that is not to say that every single song you write gonna be that message particularly.
Yeah.
You might get to a point where you're so masterful that you could create a joyful song to fit that moment. You could create a sad song to fit that moment. But not every song you write gonna fit that moment.
Yeah.
But to have that moment in your mind, to me, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
You know?
As I said that, and actually, before we go to, because it's funny that you mentioned that point, because that actually takes me to the next question I was going to ask you, which actually is based off of a clip from something that you posted on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. And I want to play that clip and then get your points on view on the next side of the clip. So here it is, right?
It is not what we say and do at a time of tragedy that creates the difference. It is what we say and do with our lives. It is what we commit and dedicate our body of work to. And so if you want to see balance in the society, then you must create balance in your body of work. So I'm not saying we can't sing Wine and Jam. I'm not saying we can't sing some badness. But we have to balance it out. Because there cannot be imbalance in our own lives, in our own work, while we are calling for balance in this society.
Anybody who knows me long enough knows that I'm huge on balance. I always say that. Like I used to tell people a long time, I think that God gave me the ability to do some of the things I do right now because I live my life in balance in other places. And I've been saying that since I've been like small, right? And for me, one of the big issues I have, especially being at some of the entertainment at this time, is the fact that I don't see that balance, right? It goes back to what you're just saying about understanding your body, your work, and what it is that you're putting out there. And if it is that people are looking towards you, what is it that you're going to sing to uplift those people? And I think a lot of times when I've had conversations with people on this podcast, a lot of times what I hear from them is that, well, I'm just an artist. I'm just somebody who's just singing a song, right? I don't really know about them kind of issues and them kind of thing. I always like to look at what happens in different parts of the world. And if you look at America, a lot of times actors, singers, people who have a broad following, even if it is that they are not entirely knowledgeable on something, they have a core belief about themselves, about something that may not be right. And they are willing to stake their career and stake their capital on that because they believe that even if it is I'm just an artist, at the end of the day, I'm not just an artist because I have a following. You said at the beginning of the show that there are individuals out there that invest a little $1 or $2 to buy a song on Apple Music or whatever, or they'll come to a show, or they'll sit down, as I say, and watch a YouTube video to the end. And if in the lifespan that you have, they dedicate, let me call it 5 years, just to say 5 years, they spend 5 years dedicated to you, there is no limit to what you can do at the point in time to impact that person on a positive level. But it's just my belief that we've been out of balance with that for a very long time. I'm wondering if there is a way that we can get back to that balance.
Of course. Just it takes courage. Where are the artists who are really willing to put their work where their mouth is? Because everybody will cry and say, we don't want violence against women. But if enough of us start putting out work, not just saying, don't beat women, that's the most immediate thing. Forget that.
Right.
But putting out an atmosphere of love and respect and creating songs that might have nothing to do directly with women,
Right.
but might be songs that, even though they're not directly dealing with women, they're creating this atmosphere that is balancing off the madness that we see in.
Yeah.
You understand? And you could go ahead and sing your Trinidad, you could go ahead and sing whatever you want to sing, But at the end of the day, we have to create that balance because you cannot expect to immerse yourself. It's like a man drinking Hennessy every day, right?
Every single day.
Every single day. He used to run track when he was younger, right?
Right.
Every day drinking Hennessy, he don't run. 10 years pass, and you know now, 10 years is feel like a day, right? 10 years pass in his life. And then he just decided he want to go and run track. You think you could just get up and go on 100 meters just so? No, you can't.
Yeah.
You cannot wake up every morning and listen to violent music and expect that that's not going to carve some portion of your life. We just make too many jokes about it, right? Me going to my nice little job listening to music about shooting people and see the memes all the time, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to something, regardless of what it is, whether it be music to meditate, whether it be heavily sexualized music, whether it be heavy gangster music, violence music, if you listen to that long enough, it will affect you.
Yeah.
Like on the molecular level, dog, like your body is 70% water and the sound waves change the shape of water molecules. It's proven.
Right.
You're changing yourself on a level. And so now, like why it is men don't listen to Celine Dion when they're going to rob somebody? You laugh.
It might sound funny, but it's true. It might sound funny.
When you're going to run in the gym, you're not listening to Celine Dion in your headphones. You want some hard.
Yeah.
Hear me that? Because I don't want to push this iron here so the music have a use. I'm not saying it don't have no use.
Yeah.
You want to put in some Eminem in your head. You want to listen to some Drake. You want to listen to something. You want to move.
Yeah.
When you're home and you want to lie down and sleep and thing whatever, you might put on a little Outcast, a little Anderson Paak, something a little more R&B, something. There are moods for it.
Yeah.
And that is how we must understand life to be. If
Right.
we are balancing ourselves out as artists, why can't we also seek to provide that balance for other people? I'm not saying everybody had to go and sing like Chronics, I'm just saying even the dancehall artists in Jamaica, they understand that balance. Every now and then they go sing a song about prayer, they go sing a song about their mother, they go sing a song about the woman they love, they always balance it off down to cartel.
Yeah. And for me, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna blame, because I'm not about ascribing blame. I just think that there are multiple different issues across the society, and everybody has to take their little pick of it now, and have the responsibility and the courage in their own village to be able to make a difference now, And a village for me is your network, your ecosystem. I was listening to radio yesterday, and there was a question that came on the station about why certain things happen in the country, and people calling and saying, yeah, because all our positive thing, nobody really on that. That's what actually somebody calling and said. And I remember the announcer at the point in time was like, at the end of the day, you have to do what you do in your little community, whatever your community is, to make a change and make a difference. Right?
I will say this though. I will say this to that. A lot of DJs and radio announcers, they shirk the responsibility, right? So they're not willing to take a chance on an artist. A lot of the programmers for the radio and whatever, they might hear a song they like, but it's not popular yet. And they don't, most of the time, not really believing in making a song popular or taking a chance on it, right? Which I don't really understand, because you play it 1, 2, 3 times, people don't like it, stop playing it.
Yeah.
No problem. But take a chance, you know what I mean? Too many times, you're hearing in the morning, before 9 o'clock, before 10 o'clock in the morning, children going to school and thing on the summer rail, gunman tune down the road rail, sexual thing. Children are traveling to school. They're in the car, they're singing. Like, you have no control over what they listen to beyond that. They're gonna pull up the YouTube, they're gonna whatever. But there are times when we have it, and we still have a large amount of influence in terms of what these youths and them really like to listen to or don't like to listen to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we did a tour with a school tour with Rion, and Rion, a lot of Rion's music is real positive music, and it's standing up right alongside all the Trinidad stuff. And he was able to perform all that. Them children, them was going crazy.
Right.
So it's not that they don't like it. I mean, Jelano, all of them, they have real positive songs.
They do.
Give those songs as much play as they give the rest. That's all.
Yeah. And even with that, which is the last point I want to bring for tonight, it goes back to what I was mentioning to you in the beginning, between the activists and the actorists now. And I think that a lot of people lack the courage to be a genuine activist.
Right.
And that is because they are probably afraid of what will be the flip side of the argument. So yeah, I could go for a couple of weeks or a couple of months to be able to bring my point of view on this. But it might have somebody in government or somebody somewhere who might not like what I'm saying because, are out there talking about it now. Right. And then there are those who are acting for the role because, it will look good for social media, for the crowd that you are out there and you'll be out there helping this one and we marching for this one. But do you really believe it within your heart and within your spirit that you dedicate your life towards actually making impactful change now, I, like you, share the view that there are some elements within the entertainment sphere right now at this point in time that is not building that balance. And I don't know if it is that the reason why they go that direction again is for the monetary clout of it, or if it is a decision that is made because that is what they feel within themselves,
It's plenty fair, It's plenty fair thing, and I can't really blame nobody, man. This is all man eating their food, and if that's what people want to hear, then we'll already do now at the end of the day. But it will take a lot of courage to come from where we are to where we need to be. And we need more men and women of substance who have the courage to stand up sometimes and say, nah, I know all the think all they want to hear this, but I want to listen to this artist here and hear what this artist is saying. And the artist too obviously have to step up and know, not because you're singing positive music, you have bad production and you have bad this and you're going to expect to play on radio. No, they're standards same way, right? You have to respect your craft and honor yourself and make music that could fit into the space and time you want to fit into. But it will take a lot of courage and dedication on our part as artists, as DJs, as radio programmers, whatever. We literally could change the vibe of the whole thing if we felt as though we really wanted to. I'll give you an example before we go. When they had the Live concert, remember the Live concert?
Yeah.
Right. The owners of 96.1 came and they took one of our slowest songs, Jerusalem, and they made Jerusalem the theme song for the concert, meaning that Jerusalem was playing on 96.1, our slowest, one of our most poetic and slowest songs was playing on 96.1 every day at least 20 times. When we got there after 3 weeks of that happening, and we stood in front of an audience of 3,500 people who listened to urban radio, every man Jack was singing that song word for word. They couldn't even introduce us on the stage. People were screaming and going on.
Wow.
And I always remember that moment because it made me realize it was a look behind the curtain. I was like, oh, it's not because the people wouldn't like the music. It's not because they just don't play it.
Yeah.
They just don't play it enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that song, Shomari, if that song is 65 BPM, it's fast.
Right.
It's a slow song, and it's poetry.
Yeah.
It's not even that catchy. It's a very reflective song. And so when I saw that, I said to myself, there are people, if they want to make a difference in the morning, they could do it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Which is one of the reasons why I do lyrical deconstruction. And I choose songs that people may not be fully aware with. Again, everybody knows Feel the Love, but I think that the body of work that you guys have put in is so broad-based that just looking at your career based on that one track can't define what you've done, and it's not going to define what you're going to do. So it's important for us to look at those things and to have a really genuine understanding of what you guys stand for, what you stand for personally as an individual. I want to get to one more question before we go tonight, and again, it comes from Mark, and you're saying, listening to you talk about lust, do you believe that sexuality should be hidden?
No. You're mad. You're trying to dead up. No, brother.
Yeah.
No. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it is one of the most precious things we have.
Yeah.
It's a absolutely beautiful thing. But we pimp it out. Right?
Like a lot of things in society, something will be really beautiful, but we will just overdo it,
Yeah. If somebody come up on a stage and start a whine and thing and whatever, you will get an immediate reaction.
Yeah.
And we know that, as opposed to if a man come up on a stage and start to sing about truths and rights, however, he may not get that reaction immediately. It's something you have to work for a little harder.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying to go up and sing your wine and jam, by all means. And if that's how you making your money, make your paper. I deal with you.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, give the people something. And there are examples of how that has happened over time now. Boy. There are people who can show us, examples of how to balance those two things over time. Like, we don't need to be going on the way we just begin on.
Yeah.
We don't need to. You know what I mean? But I hope that God blessed me with the opportunity to put my career where my mouth is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have some songs coming out that is not no super conscious thing or nothing like that. It sounds about women, but the way in which we choose to deal with it is real different. You go bubble, you go wine.
you go bubble. I love it.
You go bubble, but while you're bubbling, inside there, at some point you go hear the lyric and you go be, yeah. And then you go back and bubble, no problem.
Yeah. I can't wait for you guys to perform live in front of people again, boy. Like really, and as I said, just looking at some of the videos and just again, I'm big on energy. So feeling the energy from what you're seeing. I told Muhammad at the beginning of this, before we started to talk, that Freetown is like the Whalers of Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? So seeing and feeling that energy from seeing it, like I really can't wait for you guys to have that opportunity to do that again. I know that's something you can't wait for either. You know?
No, we ready for that.
Yeah. So, Muhammad, listen. As I said in the beginning, when I created the Creative Collective Podcast, it was because I wanted to be able to focus on stories like this and conversations like this from individuals. We are so much more than just the sound bites or the one sound or the one performance that we have. And I think by individuals getting to understand who you guys are as people, they have a greater appreciation for not just what you do, but for the passion that you put into it. And I really hope that at the end of all these conversations, people are able to walk away learning something that they could apply to their own selves. I know there are some things that you said tonight that really apply to me, that I have myself, in going back and thinking about the conversation, I definitely will have to look at in a different light. And I really have to say, brother, that as two UE alumni, I'm really, really glad to see what it is that you're doing and to continuously take that road, which is not the easy road, but at the same point in time is the road that you choose. So I really, really thank you for your time tonight, brother, and I'm hoping that we pick up and do something like this again soon. All right?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the
All right, buddy. Bless up, man. Bless up.
Blessings, King.
All right, cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Muhammad inside the Creative Collective Podcast for tonight. I told you we had a good one. Told you we had a good one. So thank you to Muhammad so much for coming through to the podcast tonight. And to everybody who tuned in, I'm really, really glad that you guys were able to be with us inside the conversation tonight. I want to invite you guys to also go look for that video, Normal, and also go to the YouTube page for the Freetown Collective and just look at the body of work that they've done, which is so much more than just Feel the Love. All right. So before I go, just a couple of things before we leave tonight. Just want to remind you guys, we are sponsored by Travi. So take the stress out of your daily commute right now, or pre-book your rides for a later date with Travi. And of course, safety remains Travi's #1 priority. So now you can add up to 5 emergency contacts on your Travi list. If an unfortunate emergency occurs, you can send an SOS to those contacts immediately. So download Travi from your mobile app store right now, Apple or Android. Travi, getting you there safely. Experience Travi. Also, I want to remind you guys that the audio from these podcasts are available right now on Apple Podcasts. It's available as well on Digicel Go Loud, and it's also available on Spotify. So if you've missed any of the episodes from the Creative Collective Podcast, you guys can make sure and go onto those platforms and get the episodes there. I also want to remind you that if you're like me and you're missing Carnival, the University of Soca Music, my mix from this year is now available for download at my SoundCloud page, which is Redymix. Also, you can stream it on the podcast app on your phone, whether it's the Digicel Go Loud app or the Apple podcast app, and it's also available on this YouTube channel as well, right? And finally, again, if you guys are enjoying the content and what we've been trying to do with the Creative Collective Podcast, I really do invite you guys to please follow and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Redymix DMT. Also follow me on Instagram and on Facebook at Shomari KRL. And of course, I'll give you guys an update on who we will have during the points in time. Shout out to so many people that was in tune tonight. Melissa, we are so happy that you were able to join us. Vaughn, big up yourself. Right. Shout out to Nariba and the Zale Posse, always showing love. Shout out to Afia, Devi, my friend. Shout out to you as well. And to everybody else who tuned in tonight, shout out to the CATA crew as well for all the support that they gave in the promotion. And of course, big up going out to Control Entertainment for the lighting that you guys are seeing behind me, always illuminating my wall to make it look beautiful. You know, I just love it. Guys, if you tuned in with us tonight, please take a picture, tag us on Instagram, tag me, tag Muhammad, let us know that you were tuned in tonight, and let us know what you think about the show. You guys could DM me on Instagram. I would let you know who my guest is next week, but my guest just sent me a message, so I'm going to have to wait to see what it is that she says. That's all I'll say. My guest next week hopefully will be a she, so I'm looking to see what she says in my messages right now. So, thank you guys so much for tuning into the episode tonight. I will see you guys next week, Tuesday. And of course, make sure and get to know the University of Soca Music, man.
Musical unification beats social distancing any day. Shomari and Redymix DMT present the University of Soca Music, USM.
Bad vibes can't step on the bass. Can't put a foot in any place.
USM.
You want me sugar daddy.
Your wine is sweet. Of course, your wine is sweet. Of course, your wine is sweet.
You want me sugar daddy.
now in session.
Love in my heart, rum in the veins, I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again, I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again.
Download via SoundCloud, iTunes, podcast, or visit the home of the DMT Nation at www.redymixdmt.com.
Whoa, one love is the anthem.
Let me see your hand them. Let me see your hand them.
I have love for the whole wide world with you at the center. You are the master key. If love is by my side,